It's springtime, which means it's time to plant strawberries. Hi, I'm Kylene and I'm the Provident Prepper. It's springtime, which means it's time to plant strawberries. These are Albion, which are an ever-bearing strawberry, which is perfect for what I need. I ordered these through the mail and they come in these little bundles of 25. Now, in order to get them very inexpensively, I actually ordered 1,000 of them and did a little group order so that all of my neighbors can have strawberries too at a very inexpensive price. Now, sometimes people like to have a strawberry patch, and I have totally done that, but what I have found to be more successful in our situation is to actually put the strawberries throughout my garden. And so here, what I've done in our new beds is I planted strawberries along the edges. And the reason for that is that I have lots of grandkids and I don't want them reaching into the middle of the bed to pull out strawberries or climbing up there. So I've just strategically placed them so that whenever they're wandering through the garden, they can very easily find those little red strawberries and enjoy eating them. And it increases their fun in the garden, right? And that's what it's all about, is to eat fresh foods and enjoy nature. In this video, we're going to show you how we plant strawberry plants. These have arrived. They've got gorgeous root structure, and I just need to heal them in for a little while before I can get them all planted and get them to where they need to go. So what I have here, this is what I use in my indoor garden. This base doesn't have any holes in it. And then it has these little pieces of wood, and the purpose of the little wood strips is to keep this off the bottom so that I have drainage, because we don't ever want little roots to get waterlogged. And so my purpose, I'm not growing this in here. I just want to keep these roots nice and happy until I'm able to plant them or get them to where they're going. I made this potting soil really soppy because I want the roots to be wet. But remember, there's drainage holes, so I don't have to worry about there being too much water. And I'm using a potting soil that does not have any fertilizer in it because I don't want to hurt these tender little roots with fertilizer. And remember, they're not going to stay in here. This is just a temporary solution until I can get them planted. But it should keep them happier and healthier until that time. And I'm making sure that I'm not covering the leaf structure. We just want these roots covered. And I'm not going to put these in light either. I don't want to encourage this growth. I just want them to kind of stay, I'd like them to stay dormant, but as you can see, they've already broken dormancy because they're budding out. So this is what this one looks like. I'm going to pour some water over all of it, and remember, it has good drainage. You can see it's already working on draining, and we're just going to keep these little guys happy and healthy until we can find them a permanent home in the ground. And these are Albion, which is an ever-bearing strawberry, which means that instead of just bearing a heavy crop in June, it bears throughout the season. Now, for us in our climate, it actually slows down in the heat of the summer, so we get a great spring crop. And then in the summer it kind of peters out, but as soon as it starts to cool off just a little bit, these guys get back bearing really nicely. And so pretty much I can count on fresh strawberries all of our growing season. So what you do is you just separate this from the bundle, and you can see this little crown right here and these wonderful roots. This is a really good plant. And when we plant it in the ground, we want to plant it just right, which means that all of these roots are buried underneath the soil. But see this crown? The crown cannot be. So you want the soil level to come right about up to here. Now, when you first get these, they probably won't have any of the green on. These, I needed to heal them in because I wasn't quite ready to plant them when they arrived. But as soon as we get this in the ground and make sure that it's watered really well, this strawberry will actually take off. The best soil for strawberries is a nice soil that is rich in organic matter and that is well drained. So compost, peat moss, any type of organic matter is really going to be helpful for you to make your strawberries grow. One of the best things that you can do for your strawberries is to mulch them really well. Now you can use all kinds of different mulches for them. Strawberries like soil that's a little bit acidic, so even pine needles, 2 to 3 inches of pine needles is a great mulch. You could use wood chips, or we like to use Nutrimulch, which is processed here locally. You can use straw. Just about anything that you want to mulch these is great. But one of the things that I mulch them with in the spring is actually garlic, because in my garden I have all kinds of garlic volunteers that come up in the spring, much more than I could ever transplant and use. So I just pull those up and gently place them between the plants. And the first mulch that I do, I don't overly mulch them because I want them to get the good sun and establish, and then I'll go in later with the heavier mulching. And talking about sunlight, strawberries can grow with 6 to 8 hours of sun, but they'll do much better if they get 10 hours of sun a day. So plant them in full sun. As I mentioned before, I like to put strawberry plants all throughout my garden, which means that companion planting is definitely a thing. I like to plant them near borage or with onions and garlic. That's one of my very favorites. You'll see wherever I have strawberries, I usually have some garlic growing. Chives are also fantastic. Strawberries grow well with lettuce and spinach, marigolds, which marigolds are just so good in your garden for so many different reasons. They work great with beans and with thyme, which is an herb. And it's also a perennial herb, so they can just continually grow back together year after year. You might think I'm crazy for planting so many strawberries, but the way I look at it, it's a fantastic investment. They are perennial, which means they grow back year after year, so we don't have to replant them. And if I have some neighbors who I'd like to share some food with, I'm sure that they would rather have a bowl of strawberries than a bowl of kale. So that works for us. The average family of 4 would need about 100 strawberry plants for fresh eating and enough to freeze or to make jam out of. Now in our family, we love freeze-dried strawberries. They're incredibly delicious. I love something called strawberry spread that we make. It's lower in sugar, it has more strawberries in it than sugar, and it's a little bit runnier than a preserve, and we use it over pancakes and waffles, even over ice cream. It's just a really delicious way to preserve strawberries for use during the off-season. I'm incredibly grateful to have a new crop of strawberries on our little homestead. And now for the question of the day. What tips do you have to share about how to produce really delicious strawberries? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.